Wow. It feels like every single day there's another, huge announcement, another breakthrough, something new and just head-spinning happening in AI.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just moving at an absolutely breakneck speed.
That really is the dominant feeling, isn't it? Just the sheer speed of change. It makes it almost impossible to keep completely on top of everything.
Exactly. And that's sort of why we pulled together this stack of recent news bits for you today.
Yeah.
It's like a real snapshot of what's hitting the headlines right now
Yeah.
across all these different parts of AI. Think of it like getting a quick but, hopefully insightful download on the cutting edge.
Yeah.
We're pulling from these different reports and articles.
Yeah, we wanted to try and cut through that constant noise a bit. Like, what are the actual new capabilities? What models are really appearing? And where is this tech starting to show up in the real world, beyond just the research labs? And also, really critically, what are the downsides? What challenges are popping up? And how are people starting to, grapple with them?
Absolutely. So our mission for this deep dive really is to unpack these sources we've gathered, pull out the most important bits, maybe connect some dots for you, and hopefully help you see the key trends and what they might mean.
Yeah.
We're covering, everything from exciting new AI models and these open source breakthroughs to some really significant real-world uses popping up all over the place, but also the potential risks like cyber threats and academic cheating.
Right, the flip side.
And even the first real moves towards regulation. Honestly, it's a fascinating mix, some dazzling possibilities and, frankly, some pretty daunting challenges, too.
It paints a picture of a landscape changing faster than, almost anything we've seen before. It's quite something.
Okay, let's unpack this then. So diving into these sources, the first thing that really stands out is just the sheer foundational innovation happening right now. We're talking about entirely new models and also where this cutting-edge work is actually taking place. One piece we looked at talks about OpenAI's new O3 model. What did the sources say about why that's significant?
Well, the reports are describing O3 as representing a pretty significant leap, particularly in things like strategic AI reasoning and, problem solving.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's outperforming older benchmarks across a whole bunch of areas: coding, science, complex analysis.
Wow.
But what's specifically called out, and this is interesting, is its ability not just to come up with ideas, but to actually critique them, to evaluate complex concepts.
Oh.
So this isn't just about generating text on command. It feels like a step towards a more capable digital collaborator, something that can engage with complexity on a deeper level.
More like a thinking partner, maybe, than just a tool doing exactly what it's told.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That feels like a qualitative jump.
Yeah.
And it's not just the giant labs pushing this stuff, is it? There's really powerful work happening in the open source world, too, like Future House's Ether model.
Exactly. And what's fascinating about Ether, according to the sources, is that it's open source and it's specifically designed for advanced chemical reasoning. Really specific. And the report we saw highlights that it actually outperformed top proprietary models, even things like GPT 4.1, but in that very specific, complex scientific area.
Wow.
So this suggests open source is really, heralding a new era of transparent, automated scientific research, making these incredibly powerful domain-specific tools accessible to a much wider community.
So hang on, it's open and it's better at certain really hard things than the biggest closed models. That's a significant point.
It is.
Open source seems like a bit of a running theme here, actually. We also saw DeepCoder 14b mentioned.
Right. DeepCoder 14b is highlighted as another example of that trend. It's a high-performing, open-source AI code generator. And this directly challenges the proprietary coding assistants out there because it allows free access, modification, use for anyone, really, developers, researchers. It genuinely democratizes access to advanced code generation capabilities. It sort of shifts the power away from just the huge corporations to the broader developer community.
Yeah, I can see that. And that open spirit seems to be fueling wider collaboration, too, maybe even geographically. The Lee Robot Worldwide Hackathon kicked off by Hugging Face down in Miami made the news.
Yeah, that hackathon reportedly drew developers from all over the world. And events like these, they're not just about the specific projects that get built, right? They're kind of cultural moments. They help solidify places like Miami as emergent tech hubs. And they foster that really essential cross-pollination of ideas and talent in the AI space. It shows development isn't just confined to, the traditional tech valleys anymore.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me, though. Beyond just text and code, we're seeing these foundational models starting to really grapple with the physical world. Meta's VJP2 seems like a prime example from the sources.
Yes, VGP2. It's described as an open-source world model. It's designed specifically to simulate 3D environments.
Okay, a world model. What's the point?
Well, its purpose is pretty ambitious. It's about enabling things like robots and self-driving vehicles to make more human-like decisions in real time.
Oh.
The idea is that by understanding and simulating the physics and dynamics of a 3D environment, the machines can better understand and navigate our physical world. You know, predict consequences, understand how objects interact.
Okay.
It's a big step towards machines having a more sort of intuitive grasp of space and physics, less brittle, more adaptable.
Okay, so we've got this wave of powerful new models coming out, both the big proprietary ones and these strong open source contenders, even tackling the physical world now. How is this starting to spill over and impact something really fundamental, like how we find information online? Our sources definitely had a lot to say about the AI search landscape.
Yeah, this is probably one of the areas hitting closest to home for many people right now. OpenAI's upgrade to ChatGPT Search, for instance, is clearly positioning itself as a direct rival to Google.
Right.
The reports note its goal is to offer smarter, more comprehensive answers directly within the chat, often with live web summaries and source links for things like news, sports, whatever.
Trying to be the main doorway.
Exactly, trying to become the primary gateway for finding information online, at least for its users.
And Google naturally isn't just sitting there. They're piloting audio overviews in search, powered by their Gemini AI.
That's right. This feature provides audio summaries of search results. So instead of scrolling through and reading pages of links,
You just listen.
you might just get a concise audio summary generated by the AI. I mean, this could fundamentally redefine how people access information listening instead of reading, getting the gist instantly.
This whole shift, as the sources are pointing out, is having some pretty big consequences for the web ecosystem itself. What's fascinating here is, well, the real impact it's having on websites that rely on search traffic.
Yeah, that's the rub.
As these AI search features give you the direct answers or the summaries, that referral traffic, the clicks going to those websites, is reportedly dropping significantly in some cases.
Oh, yeah, that's a massive disruption.
Right.
And it's really, really rattling publishers and content creators.
I bet.
It's even driving industry lawsuits because essentially their content is being used to train or power these AI answers without necessarily sending traffic back to the original source or, compensating the creators. It forces a major rethink of the whole online advertising model, the content economics, when that search pathway changes so dramatically.
Because if people get the answer straight from the AI,
Why click through? Exactly.
right, it changes the fundamental business model for a huge chunk of the internet. And this directly connects back to you listening in the wherever.
Right.
I mean, how might this change the websites you visit regularly? Or even just how you use search engines day to day? Are you getting the original stuff or an AI's take on it?
It's a really profound shift in that whole information food chain. And it's not just about finding information. AI is also reshaping how we create things, especially in technical fields like coding.
Yeah, coding assistants. Google's upgraded Gemini Code Assist seems relevant there, based on our sources.
It is. The sources highlighted its key features. A massive 1 million token context window.
Whoa, that's huge.
Yeah, meaning it can understand and work with enormous amounts of code all at once, plus advanced customization options, improved code review features.
Okay.
What's interesting from the reports, though, is the mention of internal Google studies showing it outperforms GitHub Copilot on complex coding queries.
The competition heats up.
Absolutely. The competition in this AI coding assistant space is clearly driving super rapid improvement, which ultimately is probably good for developers. More options, better tools.
It really does feel like AI is just pushing its way into every conceivable sector now.
Yeah.
Our sources gave us glimpses into some really specific, diverse applications. Let's maybe look at the military, for example.
Yeah, sure. Microsoft is apparently developing a secure, defense-tailored Copilot AI specifically for the U.S. Department of Defense.
Good.
The plan mentioned is for a launch next summer 2025. This is just a really clear reflection of AI's growing role in national security, right? Aiming to assist with tasks like data analysis, planning, maybe intelligence gathering, all within a secure environment.
Makes sense. And in healthcare, we saw efforts by the U.S., NIH, and the FDA noted in the sources. What are they up to?
Well, their focus seems to be dual, according to the reports we saw. On one hand, they want to accelerate next-gen AI innovation for patient care.
Right, the potential upside.
But while doing that, they're simultaneously trying to build robust regulatory frameworks. The explicit goal is improving patient outcomes, finding new treatments faster, but doing it without compromising safety or ethics. It's a really crucial tightrope walk in such a high-stakes field.
Yeah, you have to get that balance right. And then there are these truly surprising applications like art restoration.
This one really caught my eye, too. MIT researchers have developed a technique using AI and these special polymer films for both digital and physical restoration of damaged paintings.
How does that work?
I don't know the exact science, but the reports emphasize the speed. It can apparently be done in hours instead of the months or maybe even years it used to take.
Wow.
This innovation could potentially revive long-neglected artworks, things that were maybe too damaged or just too expensive to restore previously, bringing them back to life while, hopefully, preserving their historical integrity. It sounds almost like magic.
Imagine seeing some masterpiece restored that everyone thought was lost forever. Incredible. Now, in the pharmaceutical world, AI chat tools are being adopted to streamline research.
Yeah.
That sounds incredibly efficient.
It does.
But the sources added a really crucial counterpoint here, didn't they?
They did, and it's important. A study mentioned in the reports reveals a pretty significant issue. AI-generated citations, specifically in cancer research, can contain critical errors, factual mistakes.
Oof, that's bad.
Yeah. So while drug makers are apparently quickly adopting safeguards, this really highlights a key tension. The drive for efficiency using AI runs smack into the absolute necessity for scientific integrity and accuracy, especially in fields like drug discovery.
So you can use AI to speed things up?
But you have to verify its outputs rigorously. You just have to.
It's a powerful tool, but definitely not an infallible one, especially where facts are absolutely critical. And AI is making its way into government operations too, right? Like the UK government's deployment of the Humphrey AI tool.
Yeah, the sources detailed the controversies surrounding that deployment. Relying on these large third-party AI models raises some significant issues.
Like what?
Well, particularly around creative rights, like who owns the output generated by the AI?
Yeah.
And definitely accuracy concerns, especially if the AI makes mistakes in public-facing information or government documents.
Yeah, that could be messy.
It's all part of this ongoing global debate about how governments can actually use AI for efficiency gains while ensuring transparency, accountability, and avoiding potential ethical pitfalls. It's tricky.
And finally, advertising. That's another sector being heavily reshaped by generative AI, according to industry leaders mentioned around events like MWC 2024.
Right. Generative AI is apparently transforming everything from like brainstorming concepts to actually creating the final ad content, images, video, copy. It's reshaping ad agencies, their workflows. But there's a tension highlighted in the sources. On one side, you have concerns about automation threatening some jobs.
The classic fear.
Yeah. But that's contrasted with predictions that AI will actually boost creativity and potentially even increase overall employment in the long run by creating new kinds of roles.
Interesting.
The reports also noted that despite all the tech, consumers often still value or, want that human touch in advertising. It's not all robots yet.
Looking across all these examples, from military command centers to restoring old paintings, finding information, writing code, creating an ad calling, it really brings it home how quickly AI is weaving itself into just about every part of life and work.
It feels pervasive.
Yeah, it really does, based on just these few examples we pulled.
It truly is. And, with that widespread integration comes a growing list of pretty significant challenges and risks that absolutely need to be addressed. It's definitely not all positive headlines and breakthroughs.
Yeah, this raises an important question then. What are the critical conversations happening right now about AI safety, security, and the potential downsides based on what these sources are telling us? Cybersecurity seems like a major concern area that was highlighted.
Oh, definitely. Security researchers are absolutely sounding the alarm. The sources we looked at warn that generative AI is being widely exploited by cybercriminals right now.
How?
Well, we're seeing examples like the creation of much more sophisticated social engineering campaigns, phishing emails that sound perfectly human, for instance, easier generation of potent malware. and something new and, frankly, rather unsettling called vibe hacking.
Vibe hacking. What on earth is that?
It sounds like using AI to better mimic tone and style to manipulate people emotionally online, build false rapport quickly. It's described in the sources as a dramatic escalation in AI-driven threats. The malicious actors are leveraging the tech just as creatively as the innovators are.
That sounds particularly insidious. Yikes.
Yeah.
And AI's own defenses aren't perfect either, are they? The token break attack was mentioned as exposing weaknesses in AI moderation systems.
Right, token break. It's an exploit that researchers discovered. Basically, it allows bypassing AI content safety systems. The filter's meant to stop harmful output with only minor tweaks to the input text. Clever little changes.
How does that work?
Well, the reports explain it highlights vulnerabilities in how current language models break down or tokenize the input text they receive. The suggestion from the researchers and the sources is that developers might need to fundamentally change those tokenization strategies to make AI defenses more robust against these kinds of, adversarial attacks.
Just like finding a linguistic loophole that the AI just doesn't see. Clever, but scary. And the impact isn't just digital. It's affecting real-world institutions like universities. The sources mentioned a massive spike in UK student cheating linked to AI tools.
Yeah, the number reported was pretty stark. Nearly 7,000 students caught using AI for cheating last year, just in the UK.
Wow.
And what the sources note is really interesting. Traditional plagiarism cases like copy-pasting are actually falling, but this hard-to-detect AI misuse is rising dramatically. This poses a huge challenge for educators, obviously, and it's forcing an urgent reassessment of traditional testing methods, teaching approaches. For you listening, whether you're a student, an educator, maybe a parent, this raises fundamental questions about how we ensure genuine learning is actually happening and how we assess it fairly in an AI world.
It really does challenge the whole status quo in education, doesn't it? Okay, so given all these emerging risks, the cybersecurity stuff, the moderation bypasses, academic integrity issues, is regulation starting to catch up at all? We had a source mentioning a new law in New York.
Yes, the New York RAISE Act. It was highlighted as a pretty significant development. Apparently, it's the first state legislation mandating transparency and safety reports from the major AI developers like OpenAI and Google.
Okay, what does that mean practically?
It's framed as a major milestone for AI safety advocates. It specifically aims to prevent AI-driven harms by requiring these developers to disclose more about their models and report on the safety testing and aspects of their systems, setting new regulatory standards, essentially.
So some concrete steps on the regulatory front, finally. Though clearly just a beginning, I imagine.
Very much just a beginning.
And finally, something that sometimes gets less attention in the middle of all the rush of new features, the environmental cost of AI.
Yeah, that's a growing concern highlighted in the sources, too. The huge surge in AI use, especially computationally intensive tasks like running all these chatbots.
Right.
It significantly increases data center energy consumption and, consequently, carbon emissions.
Makes sense.
The reports note this is leading to calls for more sustainable AI development practices, trying to make the models more energy efficient, and also encourages more conscious digital habits from all of us as users. Every AI query, every image you generate has a small but real environmental footprint that adds up.
Okay. So what does this all mean when you put it together? We've taken this deep dive into this specific collection of recent sources, and the picture that emerges is just incredibly fast-moving and, well, complex.
Exactly. On one hand, you see this breathtaking innovation happening. New foundational models, expanding capabilities, coupled with their incredibly rapid spread into almost every sector imaginable, from military strategy and healthcare all the way to art restoration and the very structure of how we find information online.
But then, hand in hand with all that progress, comes this really significant list of emerging challenges and downsides that these sources clearly highlight.
Definitely.
We're talking sophisticated cyber threats now powered by AI, vulnerabilities being found in AI's own safety systems, major impacts on crucial institutions like education.
Right, the environmental footprint we just mentioned.
And the fundamental disruption to established industries like publishing and advertising. It's a long list.
And amidst all that, we're seeing the very first steps towards regulation, like that New York law, trying to build some necessary guardrails around this technology that's evolving so quickly. While these broader societal debates just continue to swirl around ethics, accountability, and how we balance the immense potential benefits with these significant emerging risks.
It's really clear that AI isn't just a tech story anymore, is it? it's fundamentally a societal one. It's impacting everything from how we learn and work to national security and even, as you said, our environment.
It really does touch everything now.
So given this incredibly fast pace of AI development, and it's spread into pretty much every part of life, work, even national security, alongside this growing list of risks, and let's be honest, a fairly slow start to regulation.
Yeah.
How should you navigate this rapidly changing landscape as an informed individual? What's your role in understanding these shifts and adapting to this future? That's maybe something to really consider as this technology continues to unfold at, well, lightning speed.